that is Jeremiah Kioni, and in studio is Honorable the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, Joash Maangi. Good to have you this morning, and I'm glad that we are having you at a time when we're discussing a possible Matiang'i presidency and the fact that, based on tribal lines, based on the aspect of region, Kenyans are bracing themselves to find a candidate that is suitable to take up the mantle from President Uhuru Kenyatta. What would you say about that?
About a Matiang'i presidency,
yes.
Linda, before I talk about Matiang'i, let me take this chance to wish our candidates,
right,
both KCP and the Kisii candidates, success in this year's exam. They have gone through a lot, and finally they are sitting the exams.
Right.
And we wish them well. We wish them success.
Thank you.
Let me say something about the Matiang'i presidents, which, if you ask me at the moment, is a non-starter.
Okay.
First and foremost, Matiang'i is a minister, and His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta has said that none of his public servants should be playing politics. So ideally, if Matiang'i respects Uhuru Kenyatta, he cannot be playing politics.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, as a civil servant.
This is not him, but these are mere endorsements from different quarters. Your community, trusting him to be the community spokesperson. You know how instrumental that would be in shaping someone's political future. And a majority of people equally speaking about that. I mean, we've seen people speak about the Makueni governor. We've seen people speaking about Muhisa Kitu even before he came out of UNCTAD. We've seen people speaking about Right Honorable Raila Odinga when he adamantly maintains that, he is going to discuss about his political future that is after BBI. Why would it be looked at as though Matiang'i is playing active politics as he is?
Because he's playing active politics.
Yes, he is.
He is actually playing active politics,
right,
which is wrong. But let me tell you something,
okay,
Linda. First and foremost, let's look at the endorsement of people like Mukisa Kitui. There was so much hullabaloo about Mukisa Kitui until when he came and declared officially that he's running. You see, the reception was so poor, it has become an anti-climax.
Okay.
I am afraid the same may apply to Matiang'i. Let me say something. You have said that people have endorsed Matiang'i. Who has endorsed Matiang'i?
Okay, not really endorsed, but let's just, yes, wrong choice of words.
Can I finish? Can I respond?
Yes.
You see, you said that the Kisii Council of Elders have endorsed Matiang'i. They have not endorsed Matiang'i. They have been planning to endorse him, and they have been postponing it because they realized that it could not materialize. First and foremost, to be a spokesperson as an element of representation. Instead, you are representing people. Now, who does Matiang'i represent? Matiang'i does not speak on behalf of the Kisii community. Matiang'i is a CS Interior. He's a minister in Uhuru government. He represents all the 42 or the 47 counties because he's in charge of internal security.
Yeah.
The man speaks on behalf of the president. So he can represent Kisii, he can represent Luos, he can represent Kikuyus in matter security. But when it comes to speaking on behalf of a community, their elected representatives will speak on behalf of the Kisii community. The senior-most leaders from Kisii community at the moment will be my boss, Governor Ngwai, and also my senator, Professor Ongeli. Those have been legitimately elected, and therefore they can speak on behalf of the Kisii community. When it comes at the constituency level, we have elected members of parliament who speak on behalf of those constituencies. When it comes to ward levels, we have elected MCAs who speak on behalf of those MCAs. When time will come, when the Kisii community will decide to speak with one voice, they will pick one of the elected leaders. But if they choose to pick a non-elected person to speak on their behalf, then the elected leadership will sit down. The elected leadership will sit down and pick one to speak for them, because the elected leaders are the ones who have been constitutionally mandated to speak on behalf of the people of Kisii. Now, a minister cannot speak for us, because a minister, let's say, Linda, for argument's sake, let's say that we are going to negotiate for a seat on the high table in the national government. And Musalia Mudavadi comes from Western,
okay,
as a representative of Western. Cho comes from
the coast.
Coast. Raila comes from Luo Nyanza. Kalonzo comes from Eastern. You see, none of them is a minister. They'll be speaking and representing the interests of their people, which may be contrary to the wishes of the president, which may be possible. This is politics. But now, if Matiang sits there, he cannot go against the wish of the president. Matiang will be speaking for the president. So he cannot be speaking on behalf of the Kisii community.
And so it was not proper for the other side, that is in Mount Kenya, to go for Justin Muturi, Speaker Justin Muturi?
Justin Muturi is a speaker. He's a politician.
Also in this case,
he's a politician.
It's a fair ground.
Yes.
Do you suppose there are instances where maybe the Kisii community would want to speak differently from what the president would speak, and therefore if Matiang'i should be the figure to represent them, then it would go contrary?
Yes, yes. It merited a time when the Kisii community may choose to speak differently from what the president is speaking. That's when it comes to election. Now, if, for example, the president endorses a candidate that the people of Kisii do not feel that, will have cater for their interest, they may choose to go to a different party. Now, look, right now people are saying that the president is endorsing Musalia Mudavadi group. Now, Kisii is in Nyanza.
Yes.
So, historically, Kisii has leaned towards Raila Odinga. Now, of late, of course, William Ruto is eating a great chunk of especially the Kisii community.
Okay.
So, the Kisii community is going to lean either towards Ruto or towards Raila. Now, if Uhuru endorses Musalia Mudavadi, then the Kisii community would definitely go contrary to the wishes of the president. Okay. Now, in that case, Matiang cannot speak for us.
The Kisii community is growing. That is the reality, even in numbers.
Yes.
And one thing that would be instrumental is to see a strong leader culminating from that area. As many would argue, Matiang'i has done so well. And so in this case, there would be that need to forge the way forward as a Kisii community in terms of unity and all that. Do you suppose that this then would also be, the formation of the elusive Kisii community, as has been witnessed, at these sides of Western region, as has been witnessed in Ukambani region? There's not been so much of unity that would probably help push forward the agenda of the Kisii community at large. And before you respond to that, maybe I will loop in Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, who is on standby via Skype. He's the Member of Parliament, Daragwa. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, Rita.
All right. What do you make of a possible Matiang'i presidency?
Every Kenyan has a right and opportunity to take on any office. It's really a question of who can be able to bring the votes together. So Matiang has a chance. I don't want to disqualify him from any position because of him being a minister. In any case, being a minister is an added advantage because it helps you almost have a head start, in the sense that you know how the executive functions, and you have perhaps the advantage of the system on your side. So Matiang and any other person serving in the cabinet has an opportunity of ascending to the highest office, or to the office of the presidency. But a little bit different is that what will help one become a president has a lot to do with the dynamics of our ethnic factor in the country, the voting bloc in our country, who is pushing your name, whether your name has any traction. Again, you can now see, like in the case of Matiang, people from his home or background, home area, are already having problems. I see like the deputy governor is already having issues with his presidency or his candidature. These are all issues that would weigh one way or another. I heard you mention Justin Muturi. I don't know how you think he is on the cards. But again, it's a time when we throw in names from all corners. Eventually end up with one name, or a number of them who run against one another, and see how it spans out.
All right, well, Mheshimiwa, thank you so much for that. We still get into more details of the same, but that should be after this short break, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Rita.
Well, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela is my Twitter handle, TV47KE. You can drop your comments there. We get to sample them as we proceed. Still with me, Honorable Member of Parliament of Ndaragwa constituency, that is Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, and the Deputy Governor, Kisii County, Honorable Joash Maangi. Back to you, Mheshimiwa, in regards to just forming a formidable force from the Kisii County in terms of unity, in terms of having a space and chance to front their own.
Linda, you know, there's this mistaken belief that Matiang'i is popular in Kisii.
Okay.
If Matiang'i was popular in Kisii, then he would not need to arrest Maangi, Osoro, Omwando, and even MCAs whenever the president comes to Kisii, so that he can silence his critics, so that he can make everybody think that he's so popular in Kisii. He will not. The fact that every time the president comes to Kisii, he must make sure that he silences his critics to make him look like he's popular is an indication that he's not popular. Now, let me ask you, if Raila goes to Luo Nyanza, it does not even need security.
Yes.
If Ruto goes to Kalenjin land, it does not need security. But have you seen Matiang'i mingling with ordinary Kisiis whenever he goes to Kisii? Nowhere.
Okay.
You see Matiang'i in Kisii, you see him with a cordon of security around him, and you know, behaving like a small president. A man who's popular with the people would mix and mingle with the people freely. And I tell you something, there's no doubt that we, the Kisii nation, the Gusii nation, our numbers are growing up. And at the moment, when you count the Kisii and Nyamira population, plus the diaspora population, we're heading to 1.5 million registered voters. Therefore, we are a big force. We are a force to reckon with.
Right.
But to represent, to speak on behalf of these people, you must have some semblance of legitimacy. Kioni, Mheshimiwa Kioni, I said very well that it depends on how your community perceives you. You see, the Kisii community does not recognize Matiang'i as their leader. They see him as a minister, as a performing minister who is doing good for Kenya. And at some point in future, if he chooses to join politics, they will give him a chance, but they will let him grow. You know, sometimes people call him Magufuli. Magufuli in Tanzania started from scratch.
Okay.
He started climbing the mountain from the bottom to the top. Matiang'i is climbing the mountain from the top to the bottom.
Well, an ethno-majoritarian society is what we are, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. One would then ask if he enjoys as much support from the country, well, based on his track record, based on what he has done, well, whether it's a bulldozer affair or not, we have probably seen so much happening, you know, in the education sector while he was there, in the Ministry of Interior while he is here. Then one would argue that it's not really necessary that he gets that endorsement from his own community. Just how instrumental would that be if at all he is to clinch a position, right? That is at the top of the country.
Well, one of the things that is for sure, without doubt, is if you are looking at running for the office of the presidency, you need support from as much as possible from more corners of this country. It would help to get the support from the Kisii community. I see the deputy governor really wanting to play or to work on Matiang'i. I wouldn't want to take that route. I would appreciate if he can actually allow Matiang'i some space in terms of assessing him from back home. When you want to go for the top, when you want to go for the State House office,
okay.
And I want the deputy governor to appreciate this. It is not just how your community looks at you. It has a lot to do more with how the country looks at you. And then you can go back home and convince your own people. Because if you don't have support from across the country, you are not likely to go anywhere. Even like the names he has thrown around for those who are now perhaps occupying different offices in Kisii, they need to have occupied the imagination of Kenyans. Otherwise, 1.5 million votes, when you're looking at a voting bloc of about 12 million, how can you start thinking of bargaining for a position, a national position, without having a national profile with only 1.5 million votes? So, but let me say this. Let me move the debate and say this. The ticket of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and William Ruto, which came to us in 2013, was defined by the ICC. And we as a country decided on one thing, and we all agreed, essentially quite a number of us agreed, at least a majority, that we needed to deal with the ICC issue. We needed to move to help our brothers, our sons, come out of the ICC. We needed to deal with it as a country and then deal with the issues domestically. And where we are today is that we are essentially out of the ICC. It is an issue that is by and large behind us. And as we look at 2022, this is an issue that you'll find it on the table quite a lot, because we want to say, going forward, we want people who are going to tell us how do they get money in people's pockets.
Okay.
After the first term of Uhuru and William, the second term Jubilee has really developed this country, delivered on infrastructural development, roads, electricity and such. Heavy projects. But you'll hear from Kenyans that they are now yearning for getting a little more of the coins in their pocket. And that is what is likely to define the 2022. Secondly,
All right.
it is what the deputy governor has said, that in Kisii they have 1.5 million votes. In if you talk about the Kikuyu community, we have almost 35% of the vote.
Yes.
And if we have 35% of the votes, what I think the governor will be looking at is that if you have 35% of the vote and you're looking at 50 plus 1, you have to look at a person who can command this 35% plus now the other
14,
16%.
Yeah.
So even as you are looking at, now this is why I think even the throwing of Muturi's card on the ticket from the angle that if it was the president that he was thinking about, he must have approached it from the wrong angle.
Okay.
You must be, this is an equation that is going to play. And if you ask me from the Mount Kenya community, I'm actually looking at a Kikuyu person, a person coming from Mount Kenya, with the 35%, and looking out with the other communities and saying, who are these others we can come together and get 50 plus 1? Then we are talking about the presidency. That is the way but you cannot talk about Mutuli being a running mate to Justin, and he is the one with the 35%. That arrangement must be well thought out. Otherwise, it can easily become a cropper.
Okay, well, and...
before you ask me the next question, let me concur absolutely with what Kioni is saying. If Mount Kenya has 35% of the vote, and the Western has a sizable chunk, so it cannot be that, they say it is the small river that joins the big river. So where does Matiang come from? Small river? Exactly.
Okay.
So then, he is the one to join the one from the big river. So if he is dreaming that someone from the big river is going to join him as a small river, then it's not being realistic.
Are you crushing the hopes of the marginalized, as they would call, the hopes of regions and tribes that do not have the numbers? Are you crushing their hopes in this case?
I am being realistic.
Okay.
Politics is real.
So in this case, it's as good as a dream.
Politics is real.
Numbers.
And politics is numbers, and politics is local.
Okay.
Yes.
So why would we then have sentiments coming across from leaders in regards to the Kikuyu presidency? We all acknowledge the fact that they enjoy the numbers. So what is wrong if we have a Kikuyu president today, after Uhuru another one, and another one, and
There's
another one?
There's nothing wrong. If he's able to craft a coalition that will work, there's nothing wrong. But what happens normally, if Kikuyus are at 5%, remember, we have 65% out there.
Yes.
So this 65% can come together. That's why future governments are going to be more coalition governments. So if another area, for example, if the Kambas and the Kalenjins come together, or if the Luos and Kambas come together, Luos and Luyas come together, there'll be more than that 5%. So we are going to look at coalition governments. We are going to look at these regions coming together and presenting their candidates who then can traverse the country to look for votes. But you must start from somewhere. And that's why I say Matiang'i's candidature comes a cropper, because he does not control even Kisii alone. So, I mean...
Yes.
This is interesting because it's none other than the deputy president. The others you heard him say the other day that the presidency, when the president said at Mururu that it cannot be two communities running the country throughout our lives,
right.
The DP actually countered that narrative and said it is not two communities that have been elected, it's two individuals coming from different communities. So it's not that you are saying that it is a Kikuyu. It's really a question of how do you manage these blocks? Yes. How do you manage these votes? And a person coming from the minority community can also get there. Okay. But you must win these blocks. And this is the reality. And I want to tell you, because we were there with Musalia, if you are not winning these blocks, you will just be doing some traversing the country, and people would appreciate you, they will receive you well, they will give you chai and domas and guaches. But when it comes to now casting the vote, they will be clear in their mind as to what, you don't have to deal with a lot of theories. This is now being a realist. You have to deal with and I can tell you, even the DP has a and this DP understood this. This is why he came and camped. He has been in Mount Kenya for the last 3 years, really confusing our people.
Why do you consider that confusing if you acknowledge that it's... Why would you want to consider that confusing?
I wanted to clarify, confusing our people because he came with propaganda. Okay. He did not come with something that could last beyond the 3 years. Look at the way it is falling apart now. And you can only use propaganda when you are voting tomorrow. But when you have 3 years, 4 years down the line, when the leaders will come and expound on issues, for example, like BBI, why would he come and trash BBI in our area? Why would he come and tell lies about it in our area? Why would he come and learn against the president in our from where
were the leaders while he was doing that? He had leaders from your area supporting him.
Yeah, and I want to tell you, look at the age also, and we cannot badmouth them, but they have now the experience. You will see them one after the other saying, we were out there, may have made a mistake, we are back home, let us now listen together. And that's what we are saying, come together, let's listen together. You know, our constitution, and it was pushed by the non-governmental organization, some of these articles opened at the preamble saying that we are happy because we are diverse in terms of religion, in terms of culture, in terms of our ethnic blocks or ethnic background. That allows now people to think and to organize themselves around their own ethnic bloc and then go to the bargaining table. These are things we find in our constitution. In the previous constitution, remember that was not a factor. We were not, it wasn't that, people were still thinking like communities, but it was not provided for in the constitution. But the current one we have, you are being encouraged to think as a bloc and come to the table as a bloc, come and bargain for your fair share. And I want to say this as a person coming from Mount Kenya. And I think when you saw us reaching out, some people misunderstood us. Right. It is clear to us that, and this is why the Kikuyu Council of Elders started reaching out to their communities long ahead of the time, because you can tell where are we headed to 2022. It is the community that you are going to work with. We will be happy to work with Kisii, with Luos, Luyas, and see what kind of coalition government we can put on the table. But again, what is the strength that you are bringing to the table?
Yes.
Well, multipartyism has not been so friendly, and so this is probably a strengthening of it or an extension of the same when we speak about coalitions. Just how instrumental are they going to be before we come to discuss on the UDA and how a majority think it is crumbling down, and how fond some of you are of the Deputy President and the fact that it is not all rosy in Jubilee for him? Coalition first.
Now, first on coalitions, I think coalitions have become the new reality. As Kioni put it, each region, each community is going to organize itself, then they will come to the negotiating table. Now, whoever will become president, it will depend on how well you negotiate with these regions and these communities. So if, for example, I don't deny that somebody from the minority community can become president, somebody from Kisii can become president. But it depends on how you negotiate with these other communities. Before you negotiate with these other communities, but you must have a base, you must have a block. That base, that block is what Matiang lacks.
Okay.
So nobody's going to take him serious. But on UDA politics, I am sure you are looking at the statement by Barasa.
Honorable Didmas Baraza?
Didmas Barasa,
yes.
that he has taken a sabbatical leave
yes.
for 4 months.
Okay.
First and foremost, as a politician, you cannot take a sabbatical leave from politics. Okay. He's an elected member of parliament. His day job is politics.
He equally speaks of going to try and see whether they can forge the way forward as the Luya community, which I would want to assume is equally active politics.
Exactly. So saying that he's taking a sabbatical is not correct, because forging the Luya community is playing politics. But I want to say that you won't see a lot of this coming. Many people want to do that. Do you know why? Because politics, as I said, is local. Other than supporting the deputy president for presidency, Didmas Barasa also wants to be elected as a member of parliament. Now, for you to be elected, you must play politics that does not alienate you from your community, does not alienate you from the people who won't vote for you.
Okay.
Now, if Didmas Barasa feels that his politics is alienating from the people who elected him, then he must go back and rethink. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
How long has it taken for him to realize this?
Well, it doesn't matter how long, better late than never.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, won't see a lot of that happening, both on the Kieleweke side and the Tangatanga side. There are people today who are in Kieleweke who are going to wake up and realize that, wait a minute, the community I come from supports Tangatanga. Then they're going to go, they'll go back to Tangatanga. They'll switch places. Now, if you come from a community that seems to favor the Tangatanga kind of politics, and you are in Kieleweke, you won't switch. Now, if you come from a community that favors the Kieleweke type of politics, and you are in Tangatanga, you will switch. Because remember, you get elected to represent your people.
Okay.
Now, if your people are dancing a different tune, and you're dancing a different tune, all you can do is to try to convince them to dance to your tune. Now, if
you're not able
you
to
realize that this community wants this kind of tune, and you want to represent them, then probably you have to dance with them. So that's why I am sure that what Didmas did is nothing new. You won't see many people doing that. Now, does that mean that these politicians are not principled? No, that's not true. If you look at the American politics, and you look at states, we have states that are traditionally blue, meaning they are Democrats, and there are those that are traditionally red, meaning that they are Republicans. But politicians who go to seek election in these states, some are Republicans, some are Democrats, and what happens that it depends on how you sell your ideas to them. Now, if you realize, for example, Michigan, which is a traditionally a democratic state, most senators from Michigan are Democrats, because the people of Michigan are more Democratic leaning. If you go to Texas, which is traditionally a Republican, most senators from Texas have always been Republicans, because you dance to the tune of your people. Because if you are going to represent the interest of your people in Parliament or in the Senate, then you must be able to speak to them. If the people in your county are telling you that, for example, let's say that you come from an agricultural county or a pastoralist county, and the pastoralists want you to go to Parliament and talk about their pastoral issues, then you must go and speak on their behalf. Now, if you realize that the party that favors the pastoralists is Tangatanga, and then you
have no choice. And probably after the by-elections, Honorable Didmus Baraza realized that Ford Kenya was still strong down there in Kabuchai, and probably painting a picture of, UDA is not just that strong as they would want to purport to be. And so in this case, do you suppose that this could have informed Didmus's decision, in as much as he maintained that he's still a Tangatanga, I don't want to say sympathizer, but a Tingatanga person, Deputy President William Ruto's person? Do you suppose such is the case, or as many would argue, which is very unfortunate, the wells of Sugoi and Karen are running dry?
It will always be part of his history now that at one point he was a supporter of Tangatanga. I think what I was trying to say is that it's important to understand why we had the ticket of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. The ticket of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto was defined by the issues of ICC, our post-2008 difficulties. We as a country wanted to put that behind us, because there are those of us who understood clearly that if we don't remove the country from ICC, get our own back, our sons home, that put on our future country very, very negative. We will not be able to develop this country. We will be at the mercy, and that is why we decided it is important, first and foremost, let's get deal with, and I'm sure this is what is dawning on must deal with. For example,
we might need to fix your audio first, Mheshimiwa. Kindly allow us to work on that. Meanwhile, we come back to the DG. And such is the case, the conversation on ground. And it's really unfortunate that some could be propaganda, but also sometimes it holds water. And many have started arguing that probably the DP started a little bit early. You've heard Jeremiah Kioni mentioning that, that 3 years before, why would you want to go out there and start trying to find ways of capturing the interest of other communities and all that, or, the support of the same. And so in this case, maybe he started too early. The wells are running dry, and it could be a little bit tough for him to be able to sustain these highly contested, elections, or so to speak, or sustain these campaigns that are quite on the high. So in this case, the likes of Didmus would have realized that, and now they change tact.
I doubt, of course, politics requires some money. And because even if you argue that you don't need money, but you still must fuel your car, you must move from point A to point B, and that requires finances. But I do not think the departure of Didmus or many more who will come and go will have, I don't think there's a lot to do with money. It has more to do with the base. It has more to do with the realization that if I am want to present my people, and my people are leaning this way, maybe I need to lean with them. And that's why when he says that he's going to go back and do more soul searching, I think what he's saying is that, hey, let me go and check my people what they want me to do. Now, does that mean that politicians don't have principles? No. If you come like me, as a Kisii, I come from Kisii community, which does not vote using their hearts. They vote using their brains. Kisiis are known to vote using their brains in the sense that they make an objective assessment. Now, if you want to win an election in Kisii, you must appeal to the people of Kisii in what their interest is. You must find out. Now, if you realize that the interest, and you see, Kisii is a swing fort, it's a swing block. It can go either way. So, in fact, in Kisii, you can sell anybody. But as you sell anybody, you must make sure that you cater for the interest of the people of Kisii. For example, the people of Kisii are hustlers. A lot of them are hustlers. They hustle everywhere. And you see, you come to Nairobi, most matatus are owned by Kisiis. Yeah. You find all these people selling miwas everywhere are Kisiis. Right. You go to Kisumu, most kiosks are owned by Kisiis. You go to Lord, they are everywhere. They are hustling everywhere. So the bottom to top approach of economics appeals to them. Okay. So if you're going to sell the bottom up approach in Kisii, you are likely to be received better because they relate to it. But if you go to sell the dynasty approach to Kisii, they will not listen to you. All
right. We have Honorable Kioni back, and as he expounds some more on what he was saying, Baraza speaks of trying to, forge and talk that conversation of getting the Luhya unity. Do you suppose really he stands a chance? We've seen the likes of, Atwoli, Davadi, they've not been able to achieve this. Why would he assume or think or even imagine that he's capable of the same?
Let me first of all encourage the Deputy Governor that Matiang'i is one of their very good national leaders, a person I wouldn't mind having at the table, because as a country, we know what he brings to the table. He brings performance, he brings a no-nonsense approach to issues, an attitude that is required in our country, and which we think has benefited us for the last maybe 8, heading 10 years, 2022. So I wouldn't want to dismiss a person of the caliber of Matiang'i coming, if he was to come from my background. I would really want to help him grow his stature. Secondly, in switching, because it's something that the Deputy Governor mentioned, DG, in switching, you actually switch to a table that you think, to a person that you think will go to the table. So even Didima switching from one point to the other, you must start seeing who is likely to be on this negotiating table. And so you don't just switch, you must switch and go to a table, to a person that will get you to the table, because that is what is crucial in our country. In Didima's switching back to Western Kenya, I agree. Because in that block, certainly the individuals who are emerging and are likely to be the negotiators on behalf of the bloc, you have the likes of my good friend Musalia Mudavadi, you have the likes of Wetangula, you have the likes of Muhisa Kitui, I think Muhisa Kitui, yes. Those are the personalities that are emerging. I know we have Oparanya on the other side. And you are not likely to be able to move on without paying attention to those movements in the backyard. On the issue of the concept of the Hustler Initiative, a good thing for the DP, certainly a concept that I would want to counter from whatever the platform that we are going to have created. Okay. Because we had Kibaki, he did not use that kind of a retrogressive approach, but he was able to reach the lowest person in the country. And that is the kind of approach that I would be looking at. I'm looking at a person who can look at the economy and transform what we have to something that people can touch, something that people can have in their pockets. And I believe that Jubilee has laid some good infrastructural, there's some good infrastructure that has come about from the TNA Jubilee leadership. And that can now be used by somebody who can transform this economy very, very quickly. Okay. And we see our growth going up to 8-9%, a growth that we need to have if we are going to change the lives of ordinary Kenyans. The bottom-up thing that I hear Hassan talking about is one that can be very dangerous for this country and will be. And we have already seen, and the DP and the DG, I think, almost tested a little bit of that. But we need to be careful with that kind of an approach. But I am not saying bad-mouthing it. I'm saying I would be happy to occupy another platform and counter that kind of an ideology, because I don't think it will work for this country.
All right. Well, I'll come back to you in regards to the split that is here today, that is in the Jubilee Party, in regards to whether they should remove, or the removal aspect of the DP and just how possible it is.
He has removed himself.
It has.
He removed himself.
All right, well, at least the national
water the bridge.
I don't know whether he has. At least his foot soldiers have argued that they have done that, but the DP has remained adamant that nobody is going to get him out of Jubilee Party. Now, the National Management Committee sat down and they had a couple of proposals. So today, the top organ of the party is set to review on this particular decision. Do you suppose it will uphold what it is that the NMC committee the NMC spoke about, or the plans are varied, or it is true that indeed the DG is out by choice already?
Before I answer that one, let me say very quickly that contrary to what Kioni is saying, I am actually not castigating Matiang'i. I'm actually helping him. I'm trying to show him how he can come down to the people of Kisii so that the people of Kisii can work with him. Mm-hmm. And I've told him this before, he needs to come and speak to the elected people of Kisii so that they can work with him. So I'm actually helping. You know, sometimes positive criticism is okay.
Yes.
Positive criticism is, there's nothing wrong with positive criticism. So I have no problem with him. I have a problem with his style of doing things.
Okay.
But on this issue of bottom-up approach, you know, if you listen to Kioni, he has no problem with the politics of reaching the people on the ground. Mm-hmm. Kibaki did it successfully. But because of the current political divides, he is uncomfortable using the word hustler. But actually he's saying the same thing. He's saying the same thing. He is saying that Kibaki did it successfully.
Okay.
But because he's without respect,
but
so he's reluctant to use the word hustler. Okay. But let me say on this, the removal of the deputy president from being the deputy party leader, that is a subject that we need to approach very soberly. Okay. And these are things that, you know, can have serious implications in the stability of our country. And I would urge that the members of the National Management Committee of Jubilee be very careful, because certain things can easily destabilize the country. And that is a subject that needs to be handled with a lot of sobriety, so that we don't create a situation that threatens the security of the country. That is my 10 cents.
All right.
And I hope, and I sincerely think the president will not allow it. I think the president will not allow it, because some of these things could have implications on security of the country. I don't think the president will allow it.
No, would you want me to agree with the DG?
Not really agree. We'd want to hear your side.
Yes. You know, he has said it in a very nice manner, that it's for the sake of the security of the country. And it is true. The only reason why a decision has not been taken is you look at the national good, and you don't want to destabilize the country. But having said that, let me say that the deputy president has been very dishonest. He has set a very poor example to Kenyans. When you are a member of a party, the last thing that you want to do, having shown your allegiance to the Constitution, is to be seen to be violating the same Constitution. The Constitution and our laws requires that once you are a member of a party that has sponsored you to any elective position, you must remain a member of that party by privately and in public. You cannot be seen to be propagating the ideas of any other party, because in so doing, you are not being honest to the people who gave you votes on a given party. What does that mean? That if you really wanted to be a principled politician, you are expected to resign, like Raila did back in 1992 when he left Ford Kenya and went and formed the NDP. You resign, seek a fresh mandate, and tell Kenyans that the party that you gave me votes on has now moved away from what I believed it to have been or to have stood for. And as a principled person, as a politician, as a person who would want to lead this country, I now come back to you asking you to give me the mandate to now push your agenda on this platform. That is what the DP would have done, And that he would have helped the security, the national security of this country. He would have helped us to grow as a country and grow the democratic space, be a good example to the young people, and in so doing, stop being contemptuous of the promises that we made to Kenyans back in 2017. And let me also say this, I have no problem mentioning the word hustler, only that I find it a little insultive. Because, and again, I really, the whole approach to that whole bottom-up thing is what I find myself having difficulties associating with, not anything else. And I want to tell you that if you, as you help people, you need to respect their dignity. Again, an article, a provision in our constitution. So I know our people have difficulties, but I really feel cheated if you see me running around with a wheelbarrow, saying that is what that's how I intend to sort out the problems of this country. I feel like I will have insulted the dignity, the intelligence of the people who entrusted us with some little bit of hard thinking than just walking into a hardware shop and buying a wheelbarrow.
But just what extra are we getting from the others that are coming on board in regards to...
Let me say this. One, by the way, I should have said this earlier, because we were talking about the ticket, the presidential ticket. Can you also make sure that those who want to run for the presidential ticket can fund the campaigns?
Okay.
We do not want people running on the state kitty. And we do not want people rooting the state to run for the office.
Okay, well, the question then would be, who is this being directed to?
You have to demonstrate your ability to run a presidential campaign.
All right.
This is not an easy thing, and if you think it's easy, talk to His Excellency the President.
All right, hold it right there. Before I let go of you and
talk to Lyra. They have run those tickets. Having said that, when we see people launching their presidential bids, then we will get to understand their ideologies. How do they intend to turn things around in the country? As of now, the only thing that we have on the table is the hustler approach. And I honestly think that the DG does not belong to that table. He's been so articulate this morning, he's been so impressive that he disappoints me. He disappoints
what
me.
What are you trying to say? That people from that end are never...
When I hear him saying that he is going to deliver wheelbarrows, I honestly think that the Kisii community and the way they are industrious would really not want to be taken through that. And I encourage him to come over to the side that we are soon going to let him know.
I will want to assume that the DG is still in ODM, and therefore we'll all agree that he's not on the other side. By the way,
ODM is going to be a very serious negotiator on this table, because they have the Lyra Amoro has a clear block. Even if you are not taking him outside the rural community, he has that command. And some very useful individuals in this country, whom you can sit with across the table and agree on how do you move together. For example, if you were to take the ODM, the rural community, plus the Kisii community, and then bring the Kikuyus together, you are doing 55%. Of the vote. DG, we are home and dry.
A free advice, DG. Stick to ODM. Stick to ODM, DG. Well, as we close on this one, it's also fair that we discuss, or we briefly, remind the people of the importance of, upholding the measures that have been set in regards to dealing with COVID-19. The numbers are high. We lost the DG of Kericho the other day, which is very unfortunate. But still, we do not see Kenyans focused on maintaining these guidelines as set.
I'm sorry that I'll take you back for a second on
It's
that.
okay, no problem. Feel comfortable.
Kioni has said that I've been very articulate. I've always been, just that maybe he has not got a chance to engage me. I've always been. But let me say this. There's no doubt that I'm a member of ODM. I'm a deputy governor in an ODM government.
Yes.
And I'm a member of ODM. And I respect my party leader, Raila Odinga. But this is the era of handshake.
Yes.
Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta met an handshake. And if you look, nobody works closer to Uhuru Kenyatta than Raila Odinga. So this is an era of handshake. So just like Odinga My party leader is working very well with Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
I'm also working well with the deputy president.
All right.
Because this is an era of handshake.
Okay.
But I remain a member of ODM because that is the party I was elected in. I respect my party leader. And I'm still a member of ODM.
Okay.
But
When
during this time of handshake,
I'm certain you will do a Didymus thing.
Over time, yeah. Yes.
no, and we must.
The DJ will have a Didymus moment.
He will take a sabbatical for 10 months now.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
We are the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto. Other than being my friend, is a very strong contender for the presidency, and I think he's going to be the next president.
You think so?
He must work hard to become the official leader of opposition.
Oh.
Even that one, you must work hard.
Oh, extremely
And I
hard.
say this with all due respect.
Is he capable to fund
Look at
the politics that we're talking about
This
today?
question which Kioni has put out about a presidential candidate being capable of funding his campaign, I am sure you understand whom is directing that at.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I would want to believe that I do.
Yes. So before you declare yourself.
Don't bet DJ.
Gentlemen, let's on COVID-19.
Barbara, on COVID-19,
Yes.
I must support the president's initiative in countering this COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, this third wave is more dangerous. You've heard that almost all the ICUs are occupied.
Yes.
And this is the time to encourage our people. And as leaders, this is the time to lead from front. When I came in, you saw me carrying my
bottle of sanitizer.
my sanitizer and everything. And we must keep our distances. We must use our masks. We must wash our hands because this is more serious. But most importantly, we must also vaccinate. You saw the other day I've been vaccinated. I'm challenging all others to vaccinate. There are those who are saying that there's side effects and those things, but these things will always be there. We must realize that COVID-19 is a reality, and the new reality is vaccination. We must vaccinate, but as we vaccinate, like I vaccinated, but I'm still obeying the protocols.
How many days after today?
I was vaccinated on Wednesday, so this is like the 60 days.
Should be.
This is like the 60 days. But still, I have not stopped observing the protocols.
Okay.
We must encourage our people to observe the protocols. I think this third wave is more dangerous.
Well, as they would say, and the numbers are high and high by the day. Mheshimiwa, are you vaccinated as we close?
One, I think the most important thing is to ensure that even those who have been vaccinated must maintain the protocol, not just for a period, but throughout until all of us are out of the woods. Two is to encourage as much as possible that, like you have said, leader, correctly, you have observed correctly that people are dropping their guards. I was in the countryside over the weekend, and I felt a little sad because you can see people really not paying the attention to the protocols. And I want to take the opportunity to appeal to Kenyans. They have done us proud. The presidents are led from the front. He must be one of the very key soldiers of COVID-19 across the globe. He's really been with us throughout the time, and he didn't behave like others have done in our region. And I want to appeal to Kenyans to continue heeding to his appeals, to his directions. We've done well as a country, but we can do better if we don't drop our guards. But also tell those people who are now spreading propaganda on the issue of vaccination or the vaccine to stop it. We have had enough propaganda on the issues in this country. We've seen people being vaccinated across the country. They are up and about. I'm sure there will be side effects from one person to the other, but I believe that it is better to deal with the side effects than to deal with this disease. I believe that this is a better way to go, and I'm sure when this is available to Kenyans, vaccination should be done or carried out by everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Member of Parliament Ndaragwa. You have refused to tell us whether you have vaccinated, but all the same, thank you so much, because every time I'm with you, or every time you come to the studio, you always ensure that you stick to the guidelines as set, and that's the most important thing. Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, thank you so much for your time, and the DG Kisii County, thank you so much for your time, Mheshimiwa. We close it at that as we look forward to another session. We're getting to a different conversation altogether. Water is crucial. Water is life at this time of COVID-19.